All right. Well, happy Wednesday, everyone. I am so excited because today I am here with Madison Brown from Madison Dearly Bookkeeping. I'm so excited for you to get to know just this woman who radiates joy and positivity and kindness. And this is just, I've never met her in person. This is just through Instagram. This is totally unfiltered of someone that I don't even remember how we first got connected. I think maybe it was through Mariah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her summer camp. But Madison, there is something about you that just like radiates light in everything that you do. And so I'm so excited to be talking with you today. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. And that is so sweet of you to say. I think that's my MO. And I think that's honestly why people get so confused. They're like, wait, you're a bookkeeper? You're like too personable and happy. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm
We're
going
changing
for.
the narrative of bookkeeping one person
Totally.
at a time.
Yes.
I love it. Well, as you know, this show, this talk interview is all about highlighting especially moms and women who are doing just amazing things and building businesses that not only serve other people really well, but also use it as a tool to serve your family. So I would love to hear a little bit about your story, how you got started, and where Madison Dearly got its name.
Totally. Okay, so I took one accounting class in college and was like, this my jam. Like this is what I'm doing. It just like really made sense to me. My brain just kind of like clung to it, I guess. Like I
Mhm.
just knew like, okay, this really makes sense and I really like this. I took every accounting class that my university offered and was like, sweet, this is it. This is what I'm doing. And I always kind of knew that I wanted to do like freelance bookkeeping or kind of do my own thing, but I thought that I would have to work in corporate for a really long time until I was able to do that. So I did that. I worked in a small nonprofit organization and I was like the accounting team. And then I transitioned to a public accounting firm. It was a top 10 firm. Loved it, loved like the culture and the people that I was working with. Hated the work. Like I was auditing senior living facilities and I was like, "Hey, old people, like love you, but this is not like this is not my be all end all. It can't be." And so I ended up transitioning to like a non crazy, I think I was working like 70, 80 hours at the time, like and that's a week in the public accounting firm.
Yeah.
And I was like, can't do this anymore. I found out that I was pregnant with my first, which of course we all know just kind of like shifts your perspective when you first find out you're pregnant.
Yes.
And then transitioned to like a 40-hour work week job in a radio station in Houston. Loved it, loved the culture. But then I was getting really fast at my job and I was bored. Like, I think we've all maybe had that place in our life where we're at a job and we're like, now what do I do? Like, I'm just showing up to be like a warm body in a chair and I'm not actually like doing anything. So then a couple clients landed in my lap just out of nowhere. And I say out of nowhere, but I really think it was God that was like, I know you want this. I'm just going to push you through the door. Here's some clients who graciously like allowed me to learn on them and say like, okay, I know how to do bookkeeping, but what does it look like for a client as a service provider? And that was it. I was so hooked. I was like, I love this. I love pouring into your business and what you're doing. I had a website designer who sells website templates and then a like remodeling company. So they remodel homes. And those were my first two clients. And then word of mouth from there just kind of gave me more clients. And I had my second baby. Again, like everything just becomes crystal clear when you have kids. Like your priorities change, what you want in life changes, and then had my second kiddo and was like, okay, like bye job. I just don't want to, I don't feel like I'm supposed to be here anymore. And then I hit the ground running and decided to grow my business.
That is amazing. So tell me this, when you were in college and you were in this accounting class, were you going to school to become an accountant, or was this just one of those prereqs that you had to take your first year?
It was a prereq. So I didn't even know like anything about accounting, finance, any of
Yeah.
that. I knew that I was good at math. So I kind of assumed like maybe this would be the right step for me, but nope, just a prereq that had a great professor who was like seriously awesome and then just gravitated towards the work.
I love this so much because I'm thinking about the accounting class I had to take in college, and you and I had two totally different experiences because I remember dreading walking to that class, and it was like a 3 hour seminar, like every Thursday afternoon. So like I was always late to the bar with my friends. So that was probably part of it. But it was just like, I remember just seeing all these numbers, and you know that meme where that guy is sitting there and he's just surrounded by equations.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about everything that you do. So I love the fact that you were in this class, and instead of being me, who was completely freaked the fuck out, you were excited about it. And you were like, you know what? Maybe this is, so what did you go to school for originally?
So this is a funny question. I grew up dancing competitively. So I was like a
Right. I
professional
remember.
dancer, did the whole thing. I wanted to be on So You Think You Can Dance. Like I was going to do the thing. And so I actually went to Pittsburgh to a small performing arts college. My first year of college, I was a ballet major. Like I got a full scholarship to dance, ballet, and jazz and tap and all the things all day, every day. And so I did that whole thing for a year, came back. I actually won Miss New Mexico the year after my first year of college. Yep, I was Miss New Mexico, competed at Miss America.
Oh,
And
what?
yeah,
I had no idea.
really?
No, I had no clue.
Yep, so competed at Miss America, and I stayed in New Mexico during that like second year after my first year like in Pittsburgh. So stayed in New Mexico, and then after that year I was like, my life has been so hectic, like I just want to like stay here and do
Yeah.
this. So then I transferred to University of New Mexico, go Lobos, and just started kind of taking like the base of everything. And that was, I was like, well, I know I don't really want to do ballet. Like that's not kind of like a long-term thing. I don't want to like try out for a company or anything like that. And I just want to be here. So then I started taking like all the prereqs.
I love that. So after you took that first class, did you change right away, or was it like next year I'm just gonna, like, what did that look like? Because I know that for me, I went to be a nurse. I thought I was going to be this nurse
That's
in the
right.
Navy, and I literally became an RA. I was like, nope, changing my whole life around. I'm doing this. I quit junior year. So what did that look like for you? Was that scary at all for you?
Yeah, it was totally. But my mom was like super on board with it. She was like, ballet to accounting, go for it. Like very happy about that switch. But yeah, I think it was probably like the next year or maybe that year that I had to like decide like, okay, I want to apply for like the School of Business, like the Anderson Business School of Management at UNM.
Mhm.
So I think it was probably that year or the next year that I was like, okay, I'm actually going to do this thing.
I love that. I love that. So tell me this, because I know everyone listening is probably going to have the same question that I do. What is the difference between an accountant and a bookkeeper?
Love it. Okay, cool. An accountant is usually a CPA, is a certified public accountant. They're someone who can help you with your taxes, usually on an annual basis, sometimes a quarterly basis. Sometimes some even offer packages for like monthly retainer. Like you can ask me any question at any time throughout the entire year, but it's related to tax. So they are like they're the true uh MVPs because they're just like sitting reading IRS rules and regulations 24/7. Like, what is the IRS telling us about how we need to file our taxes? So they're really total, just like tax, kind of like higher level. Bookkeepers are really like on the ground soldiers. We're like in your financials daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you pay us for, to really be in there and creating those financial reports that then feed into your CPA to say, okay, here's your financial report. What does that mean for your taxes? So bookkeepers kind of like on that monthly basis, CPAs like quarterly, annual, all tax.
Okay. See, they really should teach us more about this. And I really do think that they should have like a whole entrepreneurship class in high school, because
Heck yes.
how I just think about all the things that I never knew about, never learned about until I was kind of like stuck. I was like, I need someone to help ASAP.
Totally.
So when you're thinking about, kind of the journey of the traditional entrepreneur of, whether it's starting off with a few clients and kind of side hustling while they're working corporate, or if they go ahead and jump into it, at what stage is it time to bring a bookkeeper on?
Yeah. The answer is different for everyone, honestly, because there are some people who are like, I don't even want to touch it. Like, I don't even want to have to do it myself. I don't want to have to understand it. Like, from day one, I just want to outsource that piece.
Mhm.
So it can just be from a place of, I don't want to do it at all. It can be from a place of, I've done it myself for a couple months, a couple years. I'm okay with doing my own bookkeeping, but now I'm just too busy doing the other pieces of my business, marketing, operations, you name it, that I just don't have time to dedicate my brain space to bookkeeping anymore. And those are like some of the best clients, honestly, because they've done their own bookkeeping for long enough where when I turn around those financial reports for them, they're like, yes, cool. I get it. I know what to do with this information because I've done it myself in the past. Another thing is if you have like launched a digital shop or you have more like passive income where you have hundreds of transactions that are flowing in per month, that's when you need to hire a bookkeeper, because then it does not make sense for you to be just like ticking and tying around in there doing every single transaction if it's hundreds of transactions. So that's a good time to hire a bookkeeper also.
Okay, perfect. So I'm thinking about myself, and anyone who follows me on Instagram knows that I don't have a great mindset when it comes to money. Like, I refer to myself as like the broke bitch at heart, will always be there. So when your clients come to you, what are some of like the first questions that they're asking you? What are sort of like the red flags? It's like, yes, you need my service.
Mhm. Gosh, when they really don't know where they're at profit wise. So, profit is really revenue minus expenses. So, when we think about revenue, it's that top line. What gross amount did you bring in from your clients, your customers, et cetera? And then you've got all your expenses, how much money went out the door, and then what is your bottom line? If they really have no idea what that number is, either whether it's like for the entire year or even just last month, then we've got a problem, because you really need to understand what are my true numbers of what I'm making in my business. And then if there's someone that honestly doesn't know what their financial reports look like, so again, kind of going back to knowing their numbers, to be able to make true strategic business decisions. So hiring a bookkeeper allows you, like, forces you to look at your financial reports of, where am I spending too much money that's really not giving me a return on investment, a mastermind, a course, something else that I'm just paying so much money for, and I'm not seeing my revenue increasing. You just don't really know those types of things until you hire a bookkeeper. So if my clients just have like a lot of questions or really don't understand where they're at, that's like, okay, we got to get you knowing your numbers so you can continue to make really good strategic decisions, not just like a gut decision, like what's in my bank account or does this feel good? No, we're looking at these like hard and fast numbers of what's actually going to produce quantifiable results, not just, again, going back to like your gut reaction or what's in your bank account.
Yeah, it's so funny because I saw a meme this weekend and it was like, I'm such a trash panda because I laugh so hard. But it basically said like, I'm the type of person that just checks my account and I see what the vibe is like before making an investment, which doesn't go. I mean, you would think that I'm this very strategic, I'm going to spend this and this. And it got me thinking this weekend, like, why don't I have budgets in place for the year? Like if I'm thinking about my marketing budget or my systems budget or my, my personal professional development budget, I don't feel like I ever hear people talk about budgeting in the online space. It's just, here's the investment I'm making in a service provider or in a coaching program. But do you see that? Am I just making that up? Or is that something that you see a lot, as people just kind of operating at will and not having a budget?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There are so many, even some of my clients have said, like, hey, can you provide like budgeting, like a budget VIP day or something, which I'm kind of like in the works of putting together some sort of service offering, maybe for the end of like 2022, if I can get that really honed in to like
Yeah.
really help people come up with a budget. So once you know your numbers and know like historically, traditionally, this is what I spend, let's kind of put some parameters around that of coming up with a budget. Like, I only spend this much on education. I only spend this much on all those software subscriptions that I've got going on. So you really, again, start to put like boundaries and parameters around what you're spending. But have you heard of Profit First?
No, but now I feel like I
Oh,
should.
I have my Profit First book somewhere around here. I think it's sitting right there on a different table. Profit First is a great way of budgeting for the way that our minds think, because so often I'm the exact same way. I open up my bank account and I'm like, cool, there's money in there. I think I'm gonna like go get food today instead of making food at home. That's just how we're like wired to think. Profit first is actually like splitting up your money into different bank accounts so that you can see, here's my operating account. And you're literally just looking at your bank account and saying, is there money to spend there? Yes, I'm going to spend it. But then you also have your other bank account of like, this is what I'm going to pay myself, or this is what I'm going to save. So it's putting your money into buckets and then just looking at that one bucket and saying, here's what I have to spend. So look into profit first. I really like it. A lot of my clients use it and it serves
Yeah.
them really well.
Well, it makes me feel better that I'm not the only one, but all I can think about is how much moms would benefit from something like that, because I talk about this all the time. As moms, we're constantly thinking about when it comes to our business, especially if anyone's like a sole proprietor, it's just you, that money is basically it's coming away from your family, right? So like if I go invest in a web design, let's say, and it's 10,000, like that's preschool. That is
Mhm.
like our whole year's worth of budget for clothes. Like those
Totally.
are the things I think about. I know other moms think about. So I imagine that profit first mentality, when you already know things are in budget, give you more security to make smarter investments then, because you already know everything is set aside for your family,
Yes,
and it's less taking away as much as planning ahead.
exactly. Oh my gosh, you nailed that on the head. Of course, of
Yes.
course. Because that money, like once you put it into the different buckets, my husband is the same way too, where he'll see my business expenses and he's like, that could have been ours, but that money was never ours. This is my operating business account, business bucket, where this goes to all of my business things. And this is what I'm paying myself. This is the money that is ours, that we can preschool, we can Chick-fil-A, we can Starbucks, we can
Yeah.
whatever, because that's my money. This is my business money. It's just so like cut and dry and clear. Yeah, it's
Wow.
good.
I literally I'm sitting here like, wow, that feels like it would take such a weight off of my list, because or off my chest, because even when you have a really
Totally.
successful year and you're planning ahead, you're like, okay, projections are looking good. I know I've now done this for enough time. That still weighs on me all the time of like, am I going to miss this money? But I think if I change kind of my mindset of like, this is my operating cost, I don't know why I've never thought about that, but that makes so much sense. So that feels, man, damn. That's a book you said? Is that like an Amazon? You get
Yes,
that
the
on
book. Yeah,
Amazon?
and I've heard that the audiobook is really good too. So here it is. Profit First. It's by Michaelowicz. I never know how to say his last name, but
I
it's a
love
good
that.
one. And I've heard the audiobook is really good too if you're into audio.
I love that. Okay, so Madison, tell me, because I don't know if this is like you, because I know everyone comes to me and they're like, what's the best email marketing platform? What is your favorite
Yeah.
tool that you use? Or even for someone who's kind of DIYing their books at first and isn't ready for a bookkeeper or accountant, what should they be using? And please, I'm hoping to God you don't say something like PayPal or Venmo, which I know you won't.
PayPal's great, Venmo not so much, but let's back up for a second.
Okay, perfect.
So my preferred accounting software is Xero. I know QuickBooks. I'm an expert on QuickBooks. It is like the name that everybody just knows because it's associated with Intuit and Mint and TurboTax. So people
Mhm.
are just like, oh, QuickBooks, that's the go-to. But the more that I learn about Xero, the more that I'm like, this was created for like the online business space. It plays well with Stripe. It plays well with PayPal. And we know that if you have like Dubsado or Kartra or a lot of different types of these platforms, only use Stripe. And if you
Mhm.
are only using Stripe in your business, Xero is a great software to be using because that integration is like top notch amazing. So that's my preferred accounting software. Gosh, what other types of things? Oh, let's talk about PayPal and Venmo. So Venmo, if you're using just like normal, regular old Venmo, it is against their terms and conditions to be using it for business. So if you are collecting money through Venmo, if you're a photographer and you're collecting money through Venmo, if you are a service provider in some other capacity and you're collecting, if Venmo finds out that you're doing that for business, they can actually freeze your funds and you may not get them for a long time or you may not ever get them because it's against their terms and conditions. However, Venmo just did roll out Venmo for business, I think like 2 years ago. So you can sign up for that feature, but it does take fees, exactly how Stripe takes fees, exactly how PayPal takes fees. But guess what? Unless you are someone that can process a credit card without a credit card
You're
processor,
gonna have to
you are
have
paying
this.
another company just how someone would pay you to do what you do. Like they are a credit card processing company, so you have to be paying them for saying like, thank you for processing this credit card so that
Yes.
I get paid. PayPal is awesome. I love PayPal. I think it works really well with Zero, same kind of as Stripe. But it does have those fees also. It's also great just to note because we just finished up with like 1099 season
Yeah.
in January. If you are paying your contractors, people that provide services to your business, so for me, that's like my OBM, my VA, my bookkeeper, my assistant bookkeeper, all of my service providers, if I'm paying them through PayPal, I do not need to issue a 1099. Can I get an amen? It's just like not something that you have to think about.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny that you say that because I feel like this year, that was the first time that I heard that everywhere. I felt like every time I was scrolling through Instagram, everyone was like, you don't need a 1099 if you did XYZ. Versus I feel like 2 years ago when I first started, everybody was like, we need to do 1099s. So
Yes.
I think it speaks to one, people becoming much more aware of what it actually looks like to be in an online business and what you do and don't need to do. But I also think that, and I know that starting off, someone threatened to like kick my ass if I send an invoice via Venmo. And that's where I learned about everything. But when you're first starting off, it's like, how can I maximize my resources? What is the cheapest thing that's going to get me through? So for someone who's like a little bit nervous about even spending that $50 a month on QuickBooks or whatever Xero's fees are there any other resources or anything they should be doing behind the scenes that would be a little bit more affordable?
Sure, totally. And I'm also going to throw out that Zero is $12 a month. So like if you can like pull back
Oh,
on two coffees, that's totally affordable. And that's like their lowest one. The one that I love is like $30 a month, but
yeah.
$12 you can still get exactly what you need. I will also say spreadsheets are awesome. Like don't knock a spreadsheet until you've actually just like been in there and done it. Unless again, going back to like if you have a digital shop or like a ton of passive income or something where you have hundreds of transactions, a spreadsheet's not going to work for you. Like don't even try. But if you are a service provider and you have like 5 clients a month that pay you a very large amount of money, you can put each of those income, like those deposits that went into the Stripe payout that went into your bank account into a spreadsheet. And then all of your expenses, you might have Dubsado, Adobe, Flowdesk, all of those maybe like handful of expenses, those go into the expense column, and then you can see your bottom line. And it's easy to do in a spreadsheet, especially when you're just starting out. And spreadsheets are free, you can go onto Google Sheets, you can use Excel, whatever you want to. But yeah, I do not knock spreadsheets at all. Obviously, I love my accounting software because I'm a bookkeeper and I live in there.
Yeah.
But spreadsheets are awesome if you want that like first, like initial, like, okay, I'm gonna rip this band-aid, I'm gonna do this like DIY thing. Also, I will say too, I'm just gonna like drop this like little nugget. If you're doing your own bookkeeping, like eat a piece of chocolate that day or like get the most like expensive bougie Starbucks and like treat yourself because like you are doing the thing and you want to tell your brain like this is awesome, like I'm rewarding myself while I'm doing it. I tell that to people all the time and they're like that's a game changer. I like
That's a
actually
good
like,
idea.
increase the good stuff while I'm doing it because
Wow, damn, that
you
is a good
know
idea. So tell me this, because I know there's going to be people watching this and they're sitting here like, oh my God, money, things, deposits, credits, all these different things. How can people work with you? How do you serve people? What does that look like for Madison Dearly?
Yeah, so I used to do like all the things, and this year I'm like, let's just calm down and do like one really awesome service
Yeah.
offering, which is just that like monthly standard bookkeeping. I'm in your books once a month. I count all the beans, crunch all the numbers, and then put together some really awesome, simple, easy to understand reports. Deliver those straight to you. You don't have to touch the accounting software. You don't have to do anything. I give some stats too to say, what was your total revenue? What were your total expenses? What were your highest expenses? So we can kind of keep a pulse on that of, do we need to watch this expense over time? Is it not serving
Mhm.
your business how it should? So that's the way that all of my clients work with me right now. It's a monthly basis. We're just doing that standard bookkeeping. And then, like I said, in the future, I really do want to offer like a budget VIP day, something where I'm just sitting down with my clients and we are saying, okay, what happened over the past year and how can we use that like historical data to put a good budget in place to give us some, parameters.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing some of your story and your expertise. I had no idea that you had this whole background as like Miss New Mexico and all these things. I know that I just saw your story with your bangs and like your senior product and all of that. But thank you so much for sharing your story and for sharing your expertise with our people. And where can everyone find you?
Madison Dearly everywhere. So www.madisondearly.com, at Madison Dearly on Instagram. I'm like kind of dabbling in TikTok a little bit these
All
days, doing
right.
Madison Dearly on TikTok. But yeah, Madison Dearly everywhere.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. I will also tag Madison down below in the email and in the video description. So make sure you check her out if you have any questions. So, Madison, thank you so much.
Thanks, girl.